What up, y'all? We hitting y'all with something a little different tonight. I'm not gonna talk by myself tonight. We all, I'm sure, have a few words we like to get out to start the show off before we drop this intro. We can get into the meat and potatoes. So I'm gonna just say, Brian Johnson, do better, and I'm gonna leave it to my co-host. After that, whichever one of you guys would like to, guy or gal would like to go next, feel free.
You go ahead, Diva. Oh, you want me to go? Okay. Yeah, I mean, after a very, very rough week one, we're gonna have a lot to talk about tonight, especially going into week two. There's a lot of news to break down here. It's going to be a bit. There's too much to talk about almost for this hour.
Yeah, I'm not too happy with that game. I don't know where the offense was. Play calling was terrible, but we'll get into that here in a little bit.
So yeah, there's a lot I could say, but we only got an hour, or hour so I'm gonna drop the intro and then we get into. We don't need no topics tonight. We know what it is. We gonna get into it.
Is spotted. The kick is away, and the kick is it's good, and the Eagles win.
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. You just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
If there's anything that gets me hyped, gets me ready to go, it's a nice little intro. All right,
That
so
right
the first
there.
thing we got our first comment. Of course, we know it's
Philly.
it's Philly.
What's going on?
Go
What's
Eagles.
going on, Rod?
Rod's there.
And then
What
we
up,
got
Rod?
Rod. What's up, squad? Good game. Pat Nation
Wild
love.
game, man.
Peace. No, it wasn't a good game. No, it wasn't a good
Oh,
game. We're not
wild.
doing that. No, sir.
Oh
So
no, definitely want to game.
we like to start with our injuries, but we like to start with the preview from the review from this atrocious thing that was called a game that we played in on Sunday. Where would you guys like to start?
Let's start with these dang blaming injuries, man.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
All right, let's go. So, all right, whichever Wyatt, we know this is your thing. So, what we got going on the injury front? Tell the people.
Yeah, I mean, the bad stuff out of the way. We have three guys that are going to be out going into tomorrow night's game here. Reed Blankenship being one of them. You know, safety had a very strong showing in this Patriots game. I feel like he played really well. Unfortunately, he's out with some kind of rib injury. The same thing with Kenny Gainwell and Fletcher Cox. For some reason, all these players are having rib injuries. From what I've been seeing, it wasn't even against like the other team. It was just from running into our own players and just, it's football. But it's weird that they all have somewhat of the same injury. They just haven't disclosed exactly what they are. Reed Blankenship and Kenny Gainwell are officially out for tomorrow night. James Bradbury is still in concussion protocol as of right now. He wasn't able to clear it in the short week that we have, which is unfortunate. And Fletcher Cox, he is limited and questionable for the game with something going on with his ribs. They had an MRI done. He was clean. It's just as far as like his pain tolerance level going into tomorrow night's game, but they expect him to play. So, I mean, as of right now, Reed Blankenship, James Bradbury, and Kenny Gainwell are officially out for tomorrow. And that is not exactly what you want to see going into a week two of the season here, is having three starters being out of the lineup, going into a primetime matchup against a team that potentially has a high-powered offense coming at you, especially with one of the better receivers in the league, Justin Jefferson. It's pretty concerning.
Oh, did we add the Kobe Dean's jet list? He's out for what, a month?
Yes. Yeah, that was just off the injury report. But yeah, Nakobe
he's out
Dean
for at
is
least 3
on
weeks.
IR. Yeah. And I guess that was something to do with his leg or his ankle, right?
Ankle, his foot, yeah.
Yeah, and that was something that's kind of been bothering him
It's his
throughout
foot.
training
He got
camp
a
and everything.
Yeah, he got a foot injury.
he had a foot injury that got worse last night. Well, Sunday night in the game. And if I recall, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was hurt. It was either end of the first or early second quarter when he came out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice, once he left the game, so think about it this way. Think about playing on defense with a wide receiver playing quarterback, right? Or a running back playing quarterback. So essentially, Nakobe Dean is our play caller, our quarterback for the defense. So you saw a lot in that second quarter when they scored a couple of touchdowns in the second half, all these open plays, guys just out of position. When you lose your quarterback, that's what happens, right? Because one person gets the majority of those reps at that middle linebacker, that Mike position where they're kind of running things, because they have to get acquainted. They have to make sure they know how to put people in places with the same motions and all the different audibles. So he's out. He's going to be out for a month.
Yeah.
So we
At
made some
least, yeah.
additions, and we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. But just on the injury front, Bradbury's not going to play, y'all. I'm just going to be honest. You can't clear the concussion protocol in 5 days. He's not going to play.
Nope.
If we played Sunday, he'd probably be good. But because we're coming on this short week, a 4-day week, it takes 5 days to clear that. He's not going to clear that. He's not playing. So we're going to be out Bradbury. We're going to be out Dean. Now we're going to be out Blankenship and Gainwell. I will be honest. I'm least mad about Gainwell being out. I hope Rashard Penny plays because we need a big back. We need to actually run the ball physically.
Yeah. To be honest, I mean, we're going to get into it, but him not being active
as well,
is criminal.
Yeah.
So yeah, a couple of different things to go off of, but just on the injury front, we're down at least 4 starters. And then, like you said, we may be missing Fletcher Cox, which is another big blow, but that just means a lot more reps for Jalen Carter.
Yeah. And Fletch was looking like Fletch again in that first game.
Weighing on these injuries.
So I think Reed caught that injury. I think it was like maybe the third or fourth quarter. He tackled a player, and I think the player's leg got caught. The cleat got caught in his, and that's when you saw him. He couldn't breathe. So I think that's where he sustained his leg injury. It sucks. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But I'd rather for it to happen early in the season and hope that the injury bug stays back a little bit off us than it to happen later in the season when we really, really, truly need these guys. We need them anyway. But then, like you said, Penny better be playing. He ain't playing. He on the inactive list. No, he's got to be active.
For sure.
Just the way NFL goes, man.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
All right, so we got a few comments here. So Philly says we might need a new defense for tomorrow night. We're gonna have a new defense for tomorrow night, whether we want it or not. Apparently.
Yeah.
Philly says we need to run the ball. We always say
not
every
with
time we get important, it feels like they forget. Rod says Ringo. That's if they have the common sense to go ahead and put him in. I fear they're going to put Josh Joby in. Please don't. Please, God, don't let him do that.
I think they're going to do that as well.
And then he says next man up. So, Rod,
I
feel next man up, but sometimes the next man up ain't who it should be. I'm not going to sit here and bash my team for the whole hour, but we learned from the past, so we don't have too high of expectations at the moment. We're going to get the depth chart, see if we see any updated changes to it. But, you're just kind of looking at things and you're like, man, this is tough early in the season. And, Dave, I feel what you're saying. You'd rather it happen early in the season. I'd rather it don't happen at all. But I feel you. If it's going to happen, I guess early in the season is the best time for it. Yeah. But I'd rather guys just actually stay healthy. But hopefully, Dean will be out. He'll get everything straightened out with that foot. And then he'll be back with us for the remainder of the season. So we made a couple of moves. So we'll talk about those because we have to place all these new injured people. So, Wyatt, if you have that info, talk to
Yeah. Yeah, we ended up
If you don't,
signing
it's fine. I
linebacker
can grab it.
Yeah, I got it. We ended up signing linebacker Rashawn Evans to the practice squad. He came off of a career high 159 tackles and 2 sacks with the Titans last season. He also played with the Falcons before. He was a former Alabama star drafted in the first round in 2018. So it looks like it might be another solid depth piece. There really was no reason why he wasn't on a squad. I mean, it was looking like they were going to bring him back on the Titans, but it just never happened. And then he got the call from the Eagles and he jumped at it. But he actually ended up bringing Nicholas Morrow, who we talked about was signed to the practice squad last week. He was elevated now to the actual active squad, the 53-man roster. So it's looking like Nicholas Morrow is going to be getting some time here in the game as well. So it's going to be him and Rashawn Evans possibly, and of course the other addition that we had a couple weeks ago before the start of the season, Zach Cunningham, who didn't look great during that Patriots game. He looked kind of lost there in the middle of the field. So hopefully they go with some other options other than him.
Facts.
Diva, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't really too much have no thoughts. I just, man, I don't know. We gotta get it together. We gotta fix it. You know what I mean? Because we can't go into another game looking the way we looked. I mean, defense played pretty good. I still seen some things. I was like, "What are you doing, Desai?" But just gotta see how it go, man. We gotta do better.
Yeah, we should have starting in place of the injured players. Of course, we should have City Brown stepping up and being our free safety for this game. I would like for Keely Ringo to be the person to get the start, even though he's the backup left corner. I'd like to move him over to the start. I have a fear that they're going to use Josh Joby, and then Eli Ricks will be his backup, but I'll have to trust them if they decide to do that. I won't have to like it, but I'll have to trust them. DeAndre Swift, I don't understand why he's not the starter. I know from what I heard, and maybe you guys can clarify for me, but from what I heard, the reason he's not starting is because he's having trouble picking up the blitz concepts in the blocking game. And so for that reason, they're taking our most dynamic running back off the field.
I didn't hear that.
I understand that blitz protection. Yeah, I understand that blitz protection is important. I actually saw it from 2 different sources I saw earlier, Monday and today. But there could be other reasons as well. But my main concern is whatever the reason is, if it's not that he can't play because of injury, we need our most dynamic running back on the field. We also need Rashad Penny on the field, who's now 3rd, was 4th on the depth chart. So I think the reason he didn't play is because they put a premium on Boston Scott over him. Another questionable decision. Also, I was concerned, I think we talked about it, with the fact that we have, not enough people playing that middle linebacker, right? So Nicholas Morrow is really a wheel linebacker. It's not really a Mike. The only other Mike, unfortunately, is Zach Cunningham. So he clearly, he didn't know what was happening. Maybe Christian Ellis, who has been with the team, may be the guy to call plays. Maybe someone else in the safety position has to take that over. What I do know is we need somebody to do that. There's a lot I want to say, but I don't want to take everything. So what I'm going to do is we're going to continue to go around and just kind of chop it up on some of these pieces of information here, y'all. This is very difficult because, like I say, I just want to really just dig into all of it like in 5 minutes and then just keep talking about the whole show, but gotta pace ourselves. All right, so any other thoughts, guys, on our injuries and the guys that we signed?
Yeah, I mean, it's rough, but I mean, just like Diva said, I'd rather it happen now than happen later in the season or, the back end going into the playoffs if that's the case. But it's rough, man. It's something you hate to see, especially only 1 week into the season. You hate seeing 3 of your starters not being able to play in the first primetime game at home, first game of the season at home. So it's going to be rough. And I'm very cautious going into this next game. And I'm sure we'll get into that later in the show, though.
Yeah, we definitely will. As a matter of fact, I mean, we can get into that right now. So we had a game. We played a team. We were there physically. We looked like we were really clicking sort of in the first quarter. And then we just said the heck with playing football. And I don't know what that was, especially on offense. But we got to talk about it. So, guys, my first question. What were your thoughts on the defense as a whole in the game versus the Patriots? Diva, we'll start with you.
I don't know yet. I don't know yet, to be honest, because I mean it was okay, but I still felt like it should have been more dominant. It wasn't dominant enough for me. We still had a little bit of holes. I seen some soft zone a couple of times. So the jury's still out with me on the defense as a whole.
All right, Wyatt, what were your thoughts on the defense as a whole in this game?
Yeah, it's really hard to judge because I feel like we saw kind of both ends here. We saw the highs where you had like the Darius Slay pick 6, and then just some other decent plays. There's a couple nice pass breakups in there. I know Bradbury, I'm sure he was riding high off of a couple of those on Juju. But then we saw the lows where, once again, leaving the middle of the field just wide open for some of these players. And I think the biggest part I took away from it is I think our run defense will be decent. Seems like our run defense was pretty good this game. But as far as like our secondary in the middle of the field there, it could be rough until we start figure out what's going on with our linebackers and safeties, or once that we start getting people healthy again. But yeah, I mean, after one game, it was so kind of back and forth with being decent and then, looking pretty bad. But I mean, overall, I think the defense ended up getting that win for us. I feel like at the end of the day. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to judge off of this week one because it was so back and forth, and with the weather and everything through half of it, it's kind of hard to judge. With the offense, though, I can't say the same because I mean, there's a lot of continuity on that offense. So there really should be no excuse for that.
I had a flashback, y'all. That defense, some of them plays made me have a flashback of the other guy.
Yeah, for real. I was like, who?
So
is he back?
I will say this schematically. I had to go rewatch the game because the first time just all I saw was red. But so schematically speaking, when I went back to watch it, I liked actually what I saw. I think Desai tried to do a lot of things, but when you get handicapped by losing your number one play caller on the defense, like you're attempting to do things and then guys are out of place because the guy that kind of sets you in place and says, hey, go here, step up, like audible into whatever because the offense is changing or what we expected is not the look we're getting. He was out. So I think the schemes themselves looked bad because the guy that was supposed to make sure everybody was in place wasn't there. Okay. Now, execution was hard. Even on the Darius Slay pick 6, if you actually watch the play, if Whack and Cheese had a whip to the middle of the field on the other side, that would have been probably a 30-plus yard gain either place because they were playing off. They were clearly supposed to be playing man because Slay was, but they were playing off. So had he had the time to really look and survey the whole field, that could have been a big play for them and not a pick 6 for us. Also, all those plays in the second half, and I have to close my eyes to say this, all those plays in the second half where Hunter Henry guys were just wide bleeping open. Missed assignments. You could tell there were just areas that were supposed to be covered that weren't covered. I don't know if it was a man concept, a zone concept, or a mixture of the two concepts with like a man on certain players and then zone on others, but the zone guys missed it. The guys in the middle are missing it. That part of the offense, and we had concerns about that going into the season. We talked about that last week. We talked about that when we were doing the reviews for last year, previews for this year. We talked about that. What we saw was if those guys that are supposed to be there are not there consistently, it's even worse than we thought. Uh, So I liked the schemes. I liked what Desai tried to do from rewatching it, not as a fan, but as somebody watching saying, this is what we're trying to do. What I
Mhm.
didn't like, what I wasn't a fan of, was the execution of things. Hopefully that gets cleaned up by having guys in the positions they're going to play all practice the last couple of days, right? So all I can hope for is that these guys are prepared moving forward and that they're not as clueless and look as lost as they did in this game. Now they did make plays to win the game for us. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's again scheme. Execution was bad. It's just that Jones didn't have a lot of time to really survey everything for most of the game. He had a couple
Yeah.
of times, obviously, where he had plenty of time, but for the most part, he had an internal clock that was moving pretty fast. So it's like I got to get rid of this ball. I got to make things happen. So
Yeah.
I would give the defense like a C overall. I can't give them anything
Yeah.
higher than that,
That's what I was gonna say. Is they were Belichick was
and that's
putting
just
it in the Mac's head that he has to get that ball off as fast as possible. Because I mean, as you saw through most of the game, our line was getting pressure damn near every single play.
Mhm.
We just weren't able to get there because he was getting the ball off so fast. I saw Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox, and Milton Williams had the 3 fastest interior pass rush times on week 1 out of all the teams. It's not like they're not getting off the ball and trying to get to him. Mac was just trained to get that ball out as fast as possible to whoever because Bill knew about that pass rush. He had time to plan.
Yeah,
And I mean, that's the thing about their
Yeah.
defense that we faced one of the top defenses in the league with the Patriots. He
yeah.
knows how to run that defense. So, I mean, there's no excuse because we have faced other tough defenses, but like Bill had some schemes going on to kind of go around what we were trying to throw at him. And I don't know if just Sirianni and company just thought they were smarter than Belichick here, but it seems like they were a little unprepared for what he was throwing at them.
That's what I was about to say. Did y'all not scout? Did you not watch film? I mean, I was confused about that all the way around because
But see,
it
that
should
goes
be
back to the execution, right? That goes back to the
Mhm.
execution piece. I think the coaches were prepared, and I think the guys that were originally going to play were prepared. But like I said, you lose your quarterback on the defensive side of the ball, everything's in disarray. So you already have a game plan in place, but then the guy that's going to help you execute it, be that kind of coach on the field, he wasn't there. He got hurt. So I think
Mhm.
that's unfortunately what we saw. So I'm giving them a little bit of a break because of that. But as I watched that game, missed assignments. Like you saw guys just going open and they're looking like, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't expect to be open and they were open.
And you
It
can't do that
happens.
against Jefferson or Mattinson on Thursday night. You can't do that. Or even their tight end. Hawkinson, I forget who the tight end is, but yeah. So I mean, it
You
could be
can't do that
rough.
against Addison. He may be guarded by Josh Joby. You
Yeah.
can't do that against Jefferson. You can't do that against Hawkinson. Right? Madison out of the backfield. You can't do that against him. There's so
Mhm.
many ways. The good part about the game coming up, and I'm sure we're still in the first one, but the good thing about the game coming up is Kirk Cousins at prime time.
right
Mhm.
That's the
after
part.
4 p.m. Y'all. That's the best part.
With a banged up
So
O-line.
Yeah.
yeah. So let's move to the offensive side of the ball. You know what?
Mm.
I want to make sure they see everything that we say, all our body motions and all of our. What are your thoughts? Well, I will start with you on this one. What are your thoughts on how the offense played in this game against the Patriots?
Pitiful, man. It is nowhere near what we expected, especially coming off of a great season last year. Brian Johnson's play calling was just there was no edge to it really at all. I was already kind of, I wouldn't say like raged about it or anything, but like, why was Penny a healthy scratch? Like, he should have been on the active roster. Why are we running Kenny Gainwell as the running back one, getting a majority of the carries? That should not be happening when you have Swift and Penny on the roster. It just doesn't make any sense. I ain't even mad about the Dallas Goedert thing because we've been through this last year with Devontae not getting any getting receptions in that first game against the Lions. There's going to be a game where someone's not eating. So I'm not as mad about the Goddard thing, other than he was open in certain situations. Jalen just wasn't able to see him or whatnot. But Jalen just looked uncomfortable for the most part in certain spots. It looked very out of place for him. And he was just running way too much. I don't know if that was part of the game plan or if just he saw something in the defense he didn't like, so he just decided to run it every time. But especially after what happened last year during the Chicago game and everything, we do not want to repeat in week 1 of this new season of what happened in that Chicago game. So it's like, dude needs to protect himself as much as possible, especially when you have Swift, Gainwell, and Penny on the roster you can use to run the ball. Why are you using Jalen Hurts that much in this game? There's no excuse, especially in bad weather. You have the running backs, use them. It doesn't make any sense to go out and just keep passing over and over and over again, especially when it's not working. And it's like you wait until the third, fourth quarter to finally get some edge to the offense a little bit and try to take some more deeper shots, even though they weren't working. I don't know. It was just a mess all around. It's just like you weren't prepared. You had all season to prepare for this, and you come out looking just bland, vanilla, and nothing's working. I don't know. It's very concerning. And I mean, you could easily chalk it up to, it's week 1. They didn't play in preseason. The weather was terrible. And it was like, it doesn't matter. You had pretty much the whole core of that offense from last year coming into this year. There shouldn't have been really any issues. You should have been able to go out, maybe the first drive a little sloppy, but the rest of the game, you should have been able to pick up and fire on all cylinders. And it just was not happening. Very pitiful out of this Philadelphia Eagles offense here.
All right, Diva, what about you? What are your thoughts?
The game was terrible. It was just terrible. Once again, while was Hurts running, he really could have got injured when he got hit and coughed up the freaking ball. Like, you went and got all of these running backs, and you didn't tell me you couldn't use not one. Like, there's so many schemes you could have used with all of those running backs to have a monster running game and Jalen not have to run. And then he could have probably sat in the pocket, calmed down, settled down, got himself together, and been able to throw the ball short, long. But it seems like, I don't know if he didn't have confidence or he just didn't, but his scanning the field was horrible. Like, I'm not used to him scanning the field at all. Like, he was missing a bunch of stuff that was wide open, and he just was not looking over there to Dallas Goedert at all. He had that one pass to Devontae Smith that was beautiful. That was a very beautiful catch. But overall, it was horrible. Like, that was worse than Steichen, man. Like, I was like, what is going on with this play calling? Like, it's like they was just pulling plays, like, and just didn't know what direction they wanted to go. It was like, forget it. We're just gonna try.
just throwing stuff at the. Yeah, I don't understand.
You know what I mean? Like, we can't have that. Like, I hope y'all get it out now, because we trying to go back to the Super Bowl. I don't hear nothing about raining, because it stopped raining in the second half, and y'all still was playing garbage on the offense. So that's no excuse. But I'm very concerned about Brian Johnson. Like, this is the first game I'm gonna let him pass. But if we get that tomorrow, and we get that week after next, bro, I'm calling for your job. Sorry. We don't need that.
Yeah.
So I'm not giving Brian Johnson a pass. Brian Johnson has been around Jalen Hurts for years. Brian Johnson has been on the team for a minute. I'm not giving Brian Johnson a pass. This is what I think about Brian Johnson. I think Brian Johnson needs to grow a set. He needs to man up and use the only running play that Eagles fans want to see that you forgot about. And in case anyone remembers, it's that unstoppable quarterback sneak that we never saw. Lots of second, third down plays, short yardage. Where was it at? Instead of doing that, let's make Jalen Hurts a pocket passer. Let's say, hey, Jalen Hurts is going to go out there and throw for 400 or 500 yards every game. That's how we're going to win. Because that's how he plays. That's what worked for Jalen Hurts, right, Brian Johnson? Come on, man. And I'm not saying Jalen Hurts can't throw. I think Jalen Hurts has an exceptional arm, and Jalen Hurts can definitely throw the ball. What I also think is that there's a problem with Brian Johnson and what he thinks he needs to be doing with Jalen Hurts. I'm going to need Brian Johnson to get it together. Brian Johnson, I want you to go back. My assignment for you tonight is to go back last season, find clips of Jalen Hurts, find clips of how he was playing last year. And I want you to get that same type of production out of him by putting him in similar situations. I don't want you to reinvent the wheel. I want you to put a tire on it, put some air in it, maybe a little fix-a-flat if you think it's got a hole, and I want you to move. What I saw was you doing the same thing Nick Sirianni did 2 years ago with Jalen Hurts, and that did not work. So let's not repeat what did not work. Let's move forward properly. You went and you paid Penny. There's no reason he shouldn't be playing. Swift was healthy. There's no reason he shouldn't be playing.
Yeah.
They didn't even have the right
And
place for Swift.
It was terrible.
And I don't want to hear like the whole he can't see the blitz. Like, regardless, you should be running this dude. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you have him as a running back. He's been in the league long enough. You should be able to use him.
But you had him catching a pass in short of the first down line. Like, why would you do that? Why?
Yeah.
And then he didn't even catch the ball. Bruh, he's running.
Yeah, and I mean, I like Kenny Gainwell, but I think he works best in a rotation. I don't think he's as good as a lead back. You shouldn't be using him on 3rd and 4th as like what they tried to do, or you running Jalen like that, forcing it. You should be giving the ball to Penny or Swift on those downs if you want to run it. That you need the ball with feet to pick up those yards. You don't need Kenny Gainwell.
Yeah. So we have someone, Facebook user, with the Fly Eagles Fly emojis. Appreciate that. If you would just go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, and from there you can give StreamYard access to see you, so we can see who it is that is, rocking with us and watching the show. But definitely appreciate you all, man. Absolutely all the time. Coach Dante with a what up, fam. Coach, what up? Appreciate you. And then Coach Dante, and then we also have Coach with the fire emojis there. So definitely appreciate that as well. So, the other thing, and Sam says, sorry, I couldn't make it, guys. I forgot Sam was supposed to be on this week. This game, I forgot. Sam was supposed to be on with us, y'all. It's all good. I forgot. I'm so mad about this guy. I forgot. The other thing for me is I don't think the guys were comfortable with where they're supposed to block. I don't think they knew where to block. It's just kind of like, what are we doing? Like, there wasn't consistency. Like, when you see Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, not necessarily getting beat, but just kind of like not sure, and it was just a bad overall performance, right? It was bad. We won the game, but Cam Jurgens didn't stand out to me, right? Like, when you look, we talked about, Cam Jurgens this, Cam Jurgens that. We didn't see Cam Jurgens stand out as a guy that was the right pick at right guard in game action. So we talked a lot about, everybody said, he beat him out in the preseason. Well, we got this other guy that always does well in the preseason too, named Quez Watkins. And I don't even remember his number. I'm sure he left the field with his jersey clean.
You stupid. He did catch he caught a pass.
He caught on the first drive or second drive. That's about it, though. He didn't do anything else. You're right. He was pretty clean, though, when he left that game, though, I'm sure.
He may have had one little quick catch he ran out of bounds or something, because I don't remember.
Let's see. Oh, he had 2 receptions, 17 yards. He had 2 catches.
Ooh, my bad. 2 catches. The whole game.
2 catches. Yeah.
But there was one guy who had no catches and 1 target. And I would like to understand how on God's green earth, what in the Kelly Green Eagles jersey were they doing not getting the ball to Dallas Goedert?
Man, listen. They barely got DeVonta Smith or AJ Brown. So, and then on the 2 plays they did back-to-back, Dallas Goedert was open both times, and Jalen did not see him. Did not.
Like, what is you doing?
Wide open, would have been a touchdown. First time would have been a touchdown. Second time would have been a touchdown too. But he did not.
Out of all the players you probably could have forced the ball to, Dallas Goedert could have been it. Yeah.
More than one target. We definitely need more than 1 target.
Yeah. Where were those screens? Like, I'm a hater of the screens, but those screens we were running with Dallas Goedert last year was getting it done. Dude was
Yeah, it
getting
really was.
touchdowns, getting 20 yards
20
after
yards,
catch. Like,
first
dude was
downs.
rolling it. Yeah, like where were those? You were throwing screens to DeAndre Swift and like Devontae or Quez. It was like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, why are you throwing screens to Swift? That's what I didn't understand. That was more of a Gainwell
Yeah,
play.
you
You
should have
don't do it to
flopped it.
Swift.
Let Swift run the ball. I mean, you could have him pass catch sometimes, but use Gainwell in those situations.
Yep. So Coach Nate says Kenneth Gainwell is more like a
Yeah.
pass catching running back.
Exactly.
They can play wide
Exactly.
receiver, short downs, distance. Penny and Swift should get those short yardage carries. Those are your physical between the tackle runners. If you got a name too, yeah. And then he also says that's unacceptable. That's the same for Dallas Goddard not to be involved. Oh, who are you telling,
Yeah.
Coach? Who are you telling? So I went to sports bar to watch this game. My first game of season go out. I had everyone laughing because I'm just sitting there. I'm not saying anything, but people are just looking at my face and they are just dying laughing. I'm not even talking. I'm drinking like soda, just like whatever. I'm not even talking. As a matter of fact, fruit punch. I wasn't even talking and people were laughing. They would just look at me, look at the game, and just start laughing. So yeah, you could clearly tell that I was not into that at all. So Sam says, seems like Sirianni likes Swift as a pass catcher. Swift can do it, but he needs more chances.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with him being a pass catcher, but he's a running back. You gotta let him run the ball. I mean, we've seen what he can do. We've seen what he could do against us before last year and
Right.
everything. He breaks off on these huge runs. Like, let him run.
Bulldozers last year. Y'all
Yeah,
hear
and
me?
I hate the excuse that Sirianni is like, there's no excuses. We shouldn't have Swift out there doing more. It's like, bro, you the coach. You telling me you couldn't go up to Brian Johnson and be like, put him in, let him run the ball? Like, come on.
Yeah.
You're the coach of the football team. Go out there. If you don't like something, tell Brian Johnson so he could switch it up. Don't just let him go out there and, like Steve was saying, just pick out random plays and hope they work. It doesn't work like that, Brian Johnson.
Yeah, first time play caller, and you're a offensive minded head coach. There is no reason for you to sit there and let him stink. Right? I understand he got to learn. He's not going to be great for the beginning, but you have a blueprint for your franchise quarterback. Don't make him look like he regressed. Use what worked for him. What? I guess your plan was, we're going to come out and do something different. No. We're going to come out. We're just going to throw the ball the whole game. We're not going to run with Jalen unless he has to. And everybody's going to be thrown off. And we're just going to throw the ball to wide receiver, to running backs. We're not going to let him run.
You look like a kid that just picked up Madden for the first time.
Right.
Just figuring out how to play it.
A dyslexic kid who couldn't understand how the plays were supposed to go. All right, so we got a couple more comments here. So Casey says, I think finding the rhythm after the Super Bowl and playing in poor conditions with Tom Brady coming back and a much better defense. Winning in adversity is important, but too many examples of choking.
They ain't no excuse. Ain't none of that excuse.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good defense. I mean, I'll give them that. They are a really good defense, but you have the firepower to be able to overcome that. And if you had the right play calling, you would have been able to keep them on their toes and be able to bust one out every now and then as far as a run or a deep pass or something. They weren't able to do anything.
I mean, because you got to think about it. We had them up 16-0, y'all, and they came back. So it ain't no excuses. I'm sorry. We had
like 3 straight 3-and-outs. Like, we weren't able to do a damn thing, which is inexcusable with this offense.
Jake Elliott, and I'm glad Jake Elliott missed the first one.
MVP of the game. Jake Elliott, man.
Special teams player of the week, Jake Elliott.
Right.
Yeah. Put some respect on the name.
Right.
Coach Dante laughs. Casey also says mainly the Chiefs, Chargers, Bills, etc. Fair enough. There were a lot of teams that choked, but you know what?
Yeah.
Casey, I will say this: we didn't choke, but we did everything we could to choke. The Patriots just choked more.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, that just shows
like.
what great teams do, though, is you can look bad, but you still find a way to come out and win these games, even though we tried our hardest to lose this damn game.
We don't want to lose games. We don't need that smoke in our lives.
No.
There's so many other things we could talk about this game. There's a lot of bad, but we're gonna flush this, guys. So we don't purposely come here to talk bad about the Eagles, but we have to be honest. That was a bad game. That was like Jalen said last year after the first game of the year. We just got to flush that bad boy and keep it moving because we can't keep dwelling on this game unless it happens again. Then we got to do something about it.
Well, let's hope not, because we know how the Eagles are.
Bro.
So Coach sometimes says,
like,
I don't know why in that situation you call a quarterback draw up the middle for Jalen Hurts in the situation. Thank God the defense got the ball back. Other than that, that wasn't a very good play call.
That was
bro,
I
knew it was coming every single time. I knew it when it was coming.
That was
like, he's going to run it right up the middle again. Sure enough.
And got hit. I'm glad he didn't get injured because he got
getting
stuck.
Drilled.
Yeah. He got.
Listen.
So if you've ever watched professional wrestling, he got gored.
Yes.
That was his regular.
Straight
up. He got gored. He got speared.
I am glad Jalen is.
What are you
Reigns,
doing,
Rhino,
dude?
all of
It's
them.
the first game of the season.
You
do
cannot
not need you to be
him
doing
in
this.
situations like that. No, ain't no way you can't. Y'all, I'm telling you, man, we're gonna have to call Nick.
But there was times earlier in the game where he would start running and then just slide. Like, bro, keep running out around the outside. You probably could have picked up 4 yards or maybe 5, but you're just sliding as soon as you see people coming at you. It's like, that is very conservative based off of what we've seen before when he's able to break out on some of these runs. It's almost like he was kind of playing scared for a minute. And it's like, we are not used to seeing Jalen Hurts play like that.
He played really good.
It seemed like he was not comfortable with the game plan.
He wasn't, because you notice he was holding the ball a lot longer than he normally does, where he had to run out of bounds. And I'm just like, Jalen, what are you doing? Throw the ball away. Just throw it away.
Casey says Thursday night is going to be a good matchup for the passing game as long as there is good play calling.
That's the key.
Dante
I hope
says,
so. That's the thing.
Referring to that play, he did get tattooed on that play. Absolutely.
Yeah, he did.
So y'all, we could spend another hour talking about this game, but we are going to use Casey's comment as a segment, and we are going to roll over to the preview for tomorrow night's game against the Minnesota Vikings and the White Dak Prescott. So, Diva, we'll start with you. What are your expectations for your Philadelphia Eagles tomorrow night?
So I expect that ball to be ran. I expect Rashard Penny to be active. I expect Jalen to be way more focused and in tune and really reading the defense and running smartly, throwing the ball away when he needs to and not holding on to it, trying to make a pass. If everybody's covered or if people can't come back to help him, just throw the ball away. Because I saw a lot of that too. Like, they were not helping him out. A lot of people couldn't get separation, which I don't know what's going on with that. But I expect to see Brian Johnson do a lot better play calling. Like, I hope his play calling is organizational, because it wasn't organizational this time. It was just picking out a hat of which play he thought should go. It was like he didn't know what he was doing, right? So I hope that's what I need from the offense. Defense, I need to see a little more, since we do have some players out, that especially with Nakobe Dean being out. I understand that, but we've been a core for a minute. We did get new players, but I still feel like there needs to be somebody else that has to step up and has to be a captain, whether Nakobe Dean is there or not. Because there's going to be some days where he just probably can't. You know what I'm saying? He's just not going to understand, or he's just not mentally focused. So you still need somebody else that's going to be a captain, like, hey, you go here, you go here, you go there. Kind of like a backup captain. But I do hope that we do plug the middle of the field, that we're not playing off of receivers 3 and 4 inches. I still don't know why I see that at all. And I want to see Sidney Brown in there, period.
Well, you have to see Sidney Brown. You don't really have a choice.
Well,
he's the only other strong, free safety on our team.
See, that don't make no sense either.
Well, not on the practice squad, yeah. Wyatt.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the Patriots defense that we are facing on Thursday night. This is the Minnesota Vikings that got beat by Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. You have Baker Mayfield figuring out their call signals halfway through this game. Our offense should be slicing and dicing this defense tomorrow night and running the ball all over them too. We should be doing what we want on this defense tomorrow. There's no excuse for it, Brian Johnson. You need to get this figured out. My biggest concern tomorrow is the defense, of course, with all the pieces that we're missing. And with the weapons that they have, the matter is if Kirk Cousins can get the ball out in time to get to those weapons. But they're going to be going after those weak spots in our defense, the middle of the field. They're going to be targeting, those positions that we're missing. So, I mean, hopefully Sean Asai is able to kind of cover that up, maybe scheme around that. I assume that he's able to do that because I'm assuming he's smarter than Jonathan Gannon. But, I mean, that remains to be seen. We're only going into the second week of the season. We don't know what this defense is capable of, especially with these pieces being out. We don't know what it's going to look like. But I'm kind of hoping maybe we get that ball first. Offense is able to get that touchdown and just hopefully keep ahead of what's coming from the Minnesota Vikings there, because who knows what this defense is going to be looking like. So we might have a high scoring game here. We just got to keep ahead of those Vikings. But as long as we're keeping pressure on Kirk Cousins, that should be able to kind of help that secondary out a little bit, which we weren't able to do really with the Patriots team.
All right, and Coach Dante says, facts. Jalen Hurts or any other quarterback in this league have to hold the ball extended a play until someone gets open. That means the receivers are not getting much separation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I said before the game that it would be close because the Patriots have a good defense. They just did way more than I expected them to do offensively, but never expected them to come out and lay down defensively. I think that Zacchaeus should have got more time. Quez can't get separation unless it's a go route. It has to be something deep. That's the only time he really gets separation. So Zacchaeus should have got more time. We definitely should have used Goddard in the game. I heard something earlier where they were talking about, Bill Belichick's plan was to take Dallas Goddard out of the game. Well, if his plan was to take Dallas Goddard out of the game, why was Dallas Goddard open so much?
Right. Jalen didn't see him.
Jalen didn't see him because he's over here trying to do whatever his coach is telling him. It doesn't make any sense. But if your plan is to take somebody out of the game plan, how are they open half the time?
Right.
Yeah.
If that was your idea of taking somebody out of the game, then you're an idiot. And I don't know. And this was like somebody, I think, like from NFL or somewhere. And I'm like, what did you see? What
that doesn't make any sense.
I'm like, were we watching the same game?
No, evidently not. Dallas was wide open.
Maybe I was watching the game from last year and they were watching the new game because that wasn't what I saw.
Dallas had AJ sign on, always open.
Yeah.
That's what he had on.
Straight
200.
up.
200 always open. Could have had 200 always open. Coach Dante hits us with the laughs. I'm just saying, man. I saw that. I heard that. I'm like, what the? But what I would like to see us do this week, man, get Zacchaeus more involved, run the ball. I would like to see our best play that we can show everybody they still can't stop be utilized. If Hurts is going to run the ball, either go around the side, right, or do a quarterback sneak. I don't want my starting quarterback, my franchise guy that just got paid, that was the runner-up to the MVP last year, and in my opinion should have won, but he got hurt and missed a couple of games, and that's why he lost. I don't want to see this guy run the ball up the middle. I don't want to see this guy with a bunch of design runs. There's going to be times where he has a run because of coverage, because things break down. But I do want to see the guy from last year, and Wyatt made a great point. I want to see you fight for the yards, bro. Don't take the hard hits, but you weren't taking them last year. But if they were slowing down, you were pushing through them and then getting tackled. We need a little bit of that. I understand you got the shoulder injury last year, but that wasn't on a run. That was on what? Them trying to send you up the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's where you got tattooed last year. Them trying to send you up the middle. As long as you stay from trying to run up the middle, you'll be okay. Because when he hits you, I'm like, not him too. Like I literally, I don't know how loud I was, but apparently I was louder than I thought. But I was like, not him too. Apparently, and everybody started looking, and I'm like, I spent the whole game going.
Monday night how fast this shit could end in a snap. What happened with Aaron Rodgers? We don't need any of this happening to old Jalen, especially after paying him and everything. Like, keep this dude as safe as possible. You got running backs. Run them up the middle. I mean, Jalen
Yep.
should only be running it on certain design plays where he's running outside or when he has to escape a play. Like, we should not be running him nearly as much as he's been running.
So Key says, "What's up, guys?
What up,
What up,
Key?
Key?
Key,
Key'll be back on here soon for at least one episode this season, maybe more with us."
that's what I'm saying. Wide open,
And
middle, like going
Literally
across the
open.
middle.
Just wide open, like
wide open, but they talking about they were trying to take him out of the game.
bruh.
All
I
right,
don't
so
know.
guys, 2 other questions I'm asking, then we're gonna get up out of here because we just need to get up out of here. Right? Sometimes you just
Sometimes you said all you can say.
We gotta
Yeah.
get ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, we gotta get ready. You know what I'm saying? So, Diva, I'm gonna pose both questions to you now. What do you think? How do you see the game playing out? And the other question is, what can the Vikings do? You kind of covered this already, but what can the Vikings do to kind of knock us off of what we expect and get a win? And then why? Same 2 questions for you, sir.
So what I hope we gonna do is we're gonna run this football like no other. We're gonna have maybe 200-300 in running yards. I hope that Jalen is not gonna be running unless he necessarily have to. I hope that we are utilizing AJ and Devontae and especially Dallas Goedert in certain plays and positions because we know Dallas Goedert can get you easily 20 yards in certain positions and plays. So hopefully that we're using all of our weapons and we're firing on everything on offense. I hope Brian has a better game, bruh. No, this PSA. You got to have a game tomorrow because if we lose to the white Dak Prescott after hours, oh, you probably don't want to hear me come next Wednesday for sure.
Mhm.
Must watch show.
Yes.
If that happens, watch show.
Yes. Okay. And so what I think that they could do is their defense is going to have to put pressure because Jalen did get pressured a lot, as we've seen with the Patriots, and it did throw him off his game. So in order for them to win, they're gonna have to get a lot of pressure on Jalen. They're gonna have to take out, our Devontae, AJ. I ain't worried about Quiz because he don't do nothing. And Dallas Goedert. That means they're going to shut the running game all the way down, which I don't see that because their defense is not like the Patriots. So that's probably the only thing they could do to beat us, besides beating ourselves.
What about you, man?
Yeah, what I hope happens is what happened the last couple times we played these Vikings, and that's just give them a spanking at home, man. I'm hoping we go out there, Slay gets a pick or 2. Like last time, we sack in the white Dak Prescott out there, Kirk Cousins a couple different times, make him fumble the ball a little bit. But I hope that we just go out there and is able to do what we have to do on offense. That's the main thing. Run the ball as much as possible and open up that passing game. Let Dallas Goedert, AJ, and Devontae eat a little bit. And as far as what they could do to beat us, hope that Brian Johnson calls the same game he called last week. And probably, like you're saying, keep pressure on Jalen Hurts and also attack the weak spots on our defense where we're missing a lot of key guys.
So he said Brian Johnson called another game like he did this past.
I mean, you're right though. That's how they can beat us.
And he's absolutely 1,000% right. That's what's funny. Like literally, he's 1,000% right. Because that was terrible, right? That was terrible. That was really terrible. I mean, it was terrible.
It was, man. I think my niece, my kids probably could have called a better game than that. I mean,
yeah,
okay,
that's what I'm saying.
Right. My nephews and my daughter could definitely call a better game than that. All right. So Sam says I have to agree with Casey. I dig that, Sam. And then Casey says, great show, guys. Good content. Hey, we appreciate it, Casey. We hope to see you back. Hopefully we get that sub from you. We get some likes over here at the Eagles Elite.
Bring a friend.
Eagles Elite Podcast. Like she said, bring a friend, tell a friend. So what we like to say at the end, and we got to do our Shady Sports thing, so we're gonna do that in a second. But I'm gonna go ahead and say this a little early tonight because I feel like saying a little early tonight, right? Make sure you tell 2 of your friends and 4 of your enemies, because just because they do not like you does not mean they will not like us. So tell everybody. Come check out the Eagles Elite podcast. So before we get up out of here, we're going to drop our hype video here for Shady Sports, who we partner with. We also have our show there. Shout out to Shady Sports for, cooperating with us and making this thing happen.
This is and you're watching Shady Sports Network. Tune in, hit that like button.
You might wonder, what do these guys do? Player signing announcements. I never in a million years thought you would actually come on to break this news. So without further ado, go ahead and tell everybody what happened today.
Yeah, man. I just had to work out with the Cincinnati Bengals. Finding me right out.
Without further ado, I'd like to announce that, I'll be taking my talents to Salina Liberty.
This just in, the Major League of Football is reportedly collapsing, unable to pay hotel room bills, with players being kicked out of their rooms and hotel managers asking them to leave voluntarily without issue.
So just a final couple of comments here, man. We got to shout out the big homie, the OG, the player himself, Big AC. What's up, Big AC,
what's
man?
going on?
What's happening?
Hey, AC, man, all you got to do is shoot
back,
a
man.
message. You want to come on this week and you on. Say less. You already know.
Right.
And then Sam says, agreed. So ladies and gentlemen, we talked a lot about the games. We believe we're going to win this game. But the big thing is, man, just making sure that we take care of business, right? We've got some guys that we down. I'm not coming on here next week if we do have to lose, talking about, we didn't have this guy, we have that guy. We got dudes in uniform to get paid to play professional sports. We're playing against freaking White Dak Prescott on a primetime game.
No
If
excuse.
we can't get this dub, that's going to be troubling. It's still early in the year, but that's going to be troubling. This is a game we should win, right? And this is a game we probably will give up more than I want us to defensively, points-wise, just because of the injuries. But this is a game we should win. So what I really need, and I'm flipping gears on y'all real quick here, is everybody that's watching, if you're watching for the Shady Sports side, make sure you go over to youtube.com/@Eagles Elite Podcast. Make sure you like and sub. If you watch on the Eagles Elite side, same thing, Shady Sports Network, @Shady Sports Network. So last thing I want to leave everybody with, talking Eagles, this is a long year, and you're going to hear a lot of griping from us early in the season because it's going to take time because they didn't have a preseason that they should have. They didn't play them. Nick Sirianni came out and said he's going to reevaluate that next year. Nick, thank you. Is all I'm going to say. I'm not going to do my normal thing. I'm just going to say thank you for seeing the error. They do need to get some time, a couple of series, nothing deep, nothing big, not too long, but some time together as a starting offense, starting defense in the preseason, because we can't afford to take the first 2-3 games for them to figure things out and get everything together, all the camaraderie and how they play off each other and everything that should have already been there. So we've got to do a better job of doing that in the preseason. So I appreciate the fact that he's addressed that. And then as far as this game comes, man, just win, baby. I'm going to steal it from the Raiders. Just win, baby. Just win. I don't care if it's 1 point. I don't care if it's 15 points. Just get more points than the other team, please.
That's it.
Leave any last thoughts.
No, go out there and win. Go out there and have a good game calling game, because we cannot have no more what we had on Sunday. And defense, I need for you to do a little better. But go out there and win. There ain't no reason why you can't win. Y'all won just last year, and we stunned on them last year. Like, Jefferson didn't get no points last year. So I know we down a few players, but it's still an excuse why we can't do it. So make it happen, y'all. We can be 2-0.
All right, Wyatt.
Win.
Last but not least, give us your thoughts, bro.
Yeah, Slay needs to come out, have a big game against Jefferson like he did last year. Defense need to be putting Kirk Cousins on his back, and QB1 is going to come out there and show out. And we're going to come out this game 2-0 with dub, and then we'll be rolling into the next week after that. I am cautiously optimistic about this one. Let's go out there and get that dub.
And you know what?
Because that's the bottom line. Because Stone Cold said so.
What?
What he said.
If you are a fan of the Minnesota Vikings, you like the Minnesota Vikings, you know what's coming. We're gonna spear y'all like y'all did our quarterback. Like our quarterback, not y'all, but like what happened to our quarterback in week 1. That's what we're doing to the other team. That being said, fly Eagles fly. Hashtag be elite. Y'all catch us back next week. Oh, and because the game is Thursday, we're not gonna be able to do a pregame show for week 3. We back pregame show. Be ready for us. We'll see y'all next week.
Go
Hopefully we're talking about another bad win. I'll take that over a good loss.